When you were at whatever age, how did you decide between how to balance academics, college, life path versus, I'm sure, the very rigorous training that you had to do?
Yeah, it's a good question. I agree. I think boys, I think girls, I mean, you grow up with the dream of wanting to be either really good in school, right, with your studies, maybe good in instruments, or good in sports. And mine was sports. I knew that's where my passion lied. I knew I had a real good talent in endurance sports. I knew I was good at that. And I think when you combine talent with hard work and dedication, that's when you get the Roger Federers in tennis. That's when you get the Michael Phelps in swimming, the Katie Ledeckis in swimming, the Michaela Schifrons in skiing, right? You get these amazing athletes who do amazing things when you combine that quality of wanting to work extremely hard, harder than anyone else, and have the talent that they were God-given with, born with, to be that good. So for me, they didn't do triathlon in college, right? So when I was at Lake Brantley High School here in Orlando, Florida, looking at schools, and I come home and I get the mail. My dad's got the mail and he's waiting for me. He's got a big smile on his face. He's like, "Oh, you got some mail," and I'm like, "Oh, really? What's the deal with my dad?" And a big smirk. So I come to get it, and Wake Forest University sent me the women's media guide for track and field. They thought Hunter Kemper was a female athlete, which is a very humbling experience for a young boy, right?
Was it the name? Or
it was.
it?
I guess it was the slow times. We know that my running times weren't very good.
Okay.
And it was apparently Hunter with the slow times. They thought they got themselves a hold of a pretty good girl, not a great, not an average guy. So I had a call. They're like, he hands me the phone. It's like, you should make a phone call. Call the men's track program and let them know. So I called him and said, "Listen, I'm not a girl. I'm a guy. I mean, apparently my times don't dignify the fact that I can run that fast. But can I get a scholarship at your university?" And they're like, "No, you can't do that." "Can I walk on at your university?" "Yes, you can." And so for me, Wake Forest was a perfect fit. It's in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, about an hour north of Charlotte. And it was the best running school. And for me, we don't do triathlon in college. It's not a university sport. It's a club level sport, right? So you can either swim in school in Division I athletics, you can run cross country and track in Division I athletics, but you can't do triathlon. So I had to choose either swimming or running. I was burnt out of swimming, didn't want to do that. And I chose running because it was my weakness of my three disciplines, of the swim, bike, and run. Of those three disciplines, running was my weakness. So I actually went to college with the idea in mind that I would work on my weakness, turn it into a strength, so that when I got out of college, I'd be a professional triathlete in a better position to kind of enter the pro ranks. That was my whole desire, to get better in my running.
Is that a little bit of a late blooming? Like, do triathletes normally know, like at age 17, 18, when you're about to go to college, you were not even of sort of university level at that point, right?
Right.
Are normal triathletes normally better off at that point, and then you bloomed later?
I think I am a late bloomer. I think I definitely would say that, especially with my running career. I mean, all throughout my running, I got better and better each year. And by the time I was a senior in college in 1998, I was all conference in the 10,000 meters. So I walked on, and if in football you earn those scholarships, they give you those because there's 80-some to give out. And track and field and cross country, they don't give out those scholarships. But if they did, I would have earned myself into one. And I was definitely a late bloomer when I was as a runner. And as a triathlete, not so much. I think triathlon is, the maturity age of a triathlete is probably early to, mid-30s. I mean, it's late. It's not your gymnasts and the teams, right? I mean, it's definitely later on. And while I was in school, when I was actually going to Wake Forest, between my freshman and sophomore year, they announced that triathlon was going to be in the Olympic Games. So again,
it started to fall in place.
It started to fall in place.
Outside of you.
Right. So you basically asked, how did the whole Olympic idea kind of set in? I always wanted to be an Olympian, didn't know how I was going to get there, knew it wasn't going to be through triathlon, and I thought my Olympic dream had kind of fizzled out, right? Had been,
Why?
Just because I didn't think they hadn't announced triathlon in the Olympic Games yet. This is before college, right? Okay. I'm in high school. Yeah. And I thought, I'm just going to be a professional triathlete. That's what I want to be, right? But when they announced that triathlon was going to be in the Olympic Games, that Olympic desire and that passion of mine, back when I was a little kid wearing that Going for Gold hat on, became a big, strong desire of mine, and said, this is in 1995, five years before the 2000 Games in Sydney, Australia. And I fell in love with the idea of being on the very first U.S. Olympic triathlon team in 2000. I would graduate in 1998. I would have 2 years to kind of go through all the qualification procedures, go through all the necessary steps, the Olympic trials, in order to make the Olympic team. And only 3 men and 3 women make a triathlon Olympic Games for the U.S.
So you're one of 3.
I'm one.
You started as the
I'm
first
one
of 3.
I started the first of 3
when you were younger.
Absolutely.